around and go face to feet. Always when I want to pull the opposite direction. So right now I'm pulling kind of face to face, so I'm pulling towards me and up. My next position when I go face to feet, I have to be outside of their arm. I'm going to sit down right here, and I'm going to place it like so on my lap. And it would be the exact same thing, but now I'm pulling down and in instead of up and out. After I do everything, we have like 2 sections while we're working this portion of the arm in supine position. I'm going to do the posterior and the anterior side. So I'm doing everything from 2 to 3 inches above because we just finished off doing the shoulder. If I saw scarring along, you're clearly going to connect to those scars and follow that all the way down to the elbow itself and branch out for what you're feeling is rooting in. I'm going to work from 2 to 3 inches above naturally to 2 to 3 inches below. I'm going to be pulling everything. I will be flipped around for when I begin. I'm just kind of explaining the direction first. So I'm going to work posterior and anterior side. It really doesn't matter which side you start on, but the elbow naturally kind of just hangs out like this. So if I just place this on my lap, it's very easy, and then I will get it into 90-degree angle up so I can work that anterior side. So I'm starting 2 to 3 inches above, and we have our lateral epicondyle right here. That's going to be this guy on the outside. We have our olecranon or olecranon, however you want to call it. That's your elbow itself. And then we have the medial epicondyle on the inside. Those are going to be kind of my focus points. I want to come back into that cubital fossa area, right where it inserts at the backside. That's going to be similar like when we did the knees. If you feel like you've worked it quite a bit, that's going to be a really, and I've worked this elbow once, twice, and they're not getting that relief that they're wanting. I need you to come in here deeper because there could be like a little knot. We call them like golden little nuggets, but it's just scar tissue calcification built up around that cubital fossa that's limiting their mobility. So I am starting on the top of the arm. It's nice, draped, relaxed over top of me, and I'm going to start 2 to 3 inches above, and I'm going to be playing my windshield wiper on a 45-degree angle, pulling down and in towards the elbow itself. When you're working around the lateral epicondyle, I need you to have like very pinpoint scaling works. It's similar to when we're working the low back and we're doing like the SI joint. There's lots of little fossas in here, so scar tissue can root in, especially with the scarring in here. I'm really going to be wanting to carve all around that general area, playing my angles with a pinpoint work. I can't have plowing going on because if I plow, I'm just going to jump over everything. I really want to isolate the areas as I'm working that whole structure. It's totally natural for them to feel tingling down to their wrist and hand while they're working it. It's going to come back. It's just you're kind of opening up that scar tissue that's making those nerves start to fire again. After I've done everything on the top, I'm just going to kind of start to naturally rotate it over. I want to touch on that cubital fossa. Then I'm flipping this arm over, and I'm going to work the medial side. I'm being more mindful that the medial side is going to be really sensitive, and you're going to get a lot more sensations coming down into the hand from this direction. And then I'm going to really want to work around this lateral epicondyle. And so I'm playing my angles all around, pinpoint and scaling, getting into those little ledges and fossas that you can see my kind of finger slipping into as I push in. Once I've worked from 2 to 3 inches above to 2 to 3 inches below, I'm going to flip myself back around and pull the opposite direction from what I just did. Once I've done there, we're actually going to get her on her side into fetal position. I'm going to double stack bolsters, especially if they're a broader like structure. If not, I can just use one bolster and I will put it vertical. And she's going to kind of hug that bolster, and it'll be similar to when the client was in supine position doing the first position on the knee when it's draped over the bolster, like so, and you're working from the quad down over the quadricep tendon to the patella tendon. Very similar, but I'm going to get her on her side and she's hugging the bolster so I can work everything back here, down, and around. But before I kind of switch her positions up, I'm going to go over the first 2 main steps, doing the top face to feet, and then doing the bottom face to feet before I flip her over, if that's all good with you guys. No complaints. All right, let's get rocking. So I like to always start face to face for the comfortability of the client, having them turn over. And I'm going to begin with that airplane landing effleurage massage with a little bit of coconut oil. Coming in, coming around. After I do that airplane landing technique, that's just to kind of like soften tissue, get a little bit of an idea. I want your thumbs to get in there and kind of knead it out. I'm getting my fingertips as well. I'm feeling for any kind of like buildup of tissue. I'm already kind of flicking over some things that I can feel.
feeling?
So if I was dealing with somebody with like carpal tunnel syndrome, kind of trigger finger, any kind of situations like that, like a little bit of golfers or tennis elbow, and they feel like I feel like it's coming down into the forearm, you're going to want to work all the way, I say 2 to 3 inches below, because when we do the wrist, we're going to start 2 to 3 inches above. So I'm just kind of connecting our treatments together as we learn it. But if she was complaining that like, wow, in here is always so tight for her, I'm going to want to come through that forearm. And that's going to be me working on the radius and ulna. And when I do the radius and ulna, when you're working it, I actually always want to start on this side. Because when the arm is like this, my radius and ulna are like that. And as soon as I turn my arm over, they're almost naturally kind of crossing a little bit. So you're going to be kind of grinding on top and not so much in between to where that connective tissue is. So I like to start on this side where it's nice and flat. You're going to feel lots of tendons and ligaments though. That's not all scar tissue and crystallization, guys. But you're cleaning them out and you're bringing more circulation to the area so it can rehydrate properly. So I'm just going to start with that elbow. I'm going to begin 2 to 3 inches above, and I'm pulling everything up and out. Placing that elbow. And you're going in layer by layer. There's going to be some clients that can handle quite a bit, and this is a very sensitive area for a lot of people because we're always constantly, like I said, our feet, our wrists, our hands, our elbows, they're very neglected body parts. We don't really care about them too much, but we're using them constantly. So the amount of overuse that we do and like improper lifts and certain things we do to do that micro tearing is going to get a lot of grizzle and dehydration in this area. Pulling it towards me and up.
But to hydrate this area is probably more effective to do this physical work than just drinking water, isn't it?
Yeah, because the thing is it's still not getting that stimulation to where the scar tissue is wrapped around. So it's going to be really hard to rehydrate tissue if it's calcified. So we have to kind of like do the work while they're doing the work. Coming around that lateral epicondyle. You can see I'm kind of pinching off with my guide hand, so I really isolate that general area. Yeah, and like a few years ago, like as we say, like we're going on this world tour and we teach everywhere. A few years ago, like 4 years ago, I was training in Australia. And I had this like 18-year-old kid who tore his bicep and they like reattached it, but it like shortened the tendon a lot. And so it was like a weird inverted bicep. And like I taught his mom, similar to yours almost. And I taught his mom how to work it for like, she came out when I was out there and I did maybe like 4 days with them, just showing her how to take his shoulder, elbow, forearm, wrist, and hand apart. And the amount of mobility that he got within here was crazy because he couldn't open up. Like it was stuck kind of like this. At least you have full mobility to where you can extend. It was like as soon as he got here, it was like he was tearing.
How did she work on that? How did she work on it if we couldn't fully extend?
Because it's just gonna sit like this. And then like I would have you sit up and I would like place it on a chair and like another bolster. And then I could even have it tucked like so. And then I'm working on the side of the bicep of where it's inserting at. And see, yeah, I'm working on it. But then this is not extended. And like as I worked on it, I would just have him place it because it's limited. Like it won't go anymore anyway. So I can just place it down or have it on a bolster like so. And then if you can just hold it like that, just pretend yours is stuck. Then I would just work on it like so. Just pretend it's stuck.
Only pretend it hurts.
Hmm?
Only for that moment.
Mm-hmm. What?
Just pretend it hurts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just pretend it hurts.
I almost have full
Range of motion back.
Almost. I can force my arm down.
That's
Yeah,
after
but we-
how long? How long?
It's been a long time, 30 years, yeah. Almost. One more year, 30 years.
So it's not like, we don't want to say everything's completely reversible because not everybody wants it reversed, in all honesty, because like people are happy in their own chaos. I get a lot of attention because I have this ailment. She's over it. She learned what self-love was. She knows like every kind of couple weeks, I'm like, oh, Lorraine, you also look different again. You're changing all the time. And that's the thing. When you take massive personal action, you're willing to let go of your old programs. You kind of just don't give a shit what people say, and you just focus on you. The changes are bound to happen.
Oh, wow. That's a cool feeling.
Yep, you're welcome.
Yeah. Woohoo. Maybe 4?
4 or 5 times?
Yeah. Yeah, actually the first time was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
Let's see what I can do this time. Oh, there's still tons of grizzle in here. And the thing is, from the surgery, she will always have like a weaker link in this side over that side. Because from the scarring, from them cutting in and removing and attaching, the body is always going to be like, there was so much trauma here that it naturally is smart. Like when you break a bone, your body knows that trauma went there, so it's trying to send as much nutrients and calcium to the area to put that bone together or reattach to that general area. So in here, it's always going to be like, wow, I was traumatized. So this is going to be an elbow of her concern for the rest of her life. If she's not going to cater to it, it could get worse. But if she does like some clapping, some one-shot therapy every couple weeks, just kind of gets in there, softens the tissue, it ain't going to be a problem. Yeah, or lays there and just lets me do some more non-surgical. So this should take me technically about, normally when I'm doing an elbow, if it's severe, it's about 45 minutes to an hour. I can get through one pretty quickly in half an hour. So if somebody has 2 bad elbows and they want me to work both, I'll do both in half an hour treatment. So after I feel like I was thorough with that, I'm going to flip myself around and I'm staying on this side of the arm because remember, when we start on some area, we have to completely finish it because if I bop immediately to the other side and then I flip over and I try to go back here, she's gonna be like, no, it's already tender. So I'm gonna tenderize the one side, open up the tissue as much as I possibly can, bring as much circulation, connect it, and lymph flow into here to reconstruct that tissue. Then
You know, it's not good enough to have the most powerful courses, treatments, and training. We want to deliver to you the adventure of a lifetime that's going to last a lifetime. And I'm going to take you on a little adventure right now.